Hi, this is Sweet June 2010. It's Monday. How's everybody doing? Calm down a little bit from my last video. Driving While Black Part 3. I was really upset about that. I've calmed down. Went to my meeting on Sunday and got a little spiritual food, and now I'm woosah. But still pretty upset about the situation. But I was glad that I was able to come on here and vent about it a little bit. Which brings me to my current topic. I want to talk about stereotypes and how ignorant they are. Now, that day when I got stopped by the police and got profiled this past Saturday, I was trying to explain to the police officer that I was sitting in my house all day. I don't know what they're talking about. They're accusing me of stealing this computer. My son was at work, and they were literally, they kept grilling me and kept asking me all these questions, and I really honestly think that they didn't believe me. I really felt like they didn't believe anything that was coming out of my mouth. Because the reason why I know they didn't believe me is because towards the end of the conversation, he was like, "Well, if we find out that the property's in your house," and it's like he wasn't hearing anything that I had to say. I'm looking at him like, what part of I was sitting in my house all day don't you understand? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a black woman, you automatically assume that I'm a thief. Because my son is a black young male, you automatically assume that he's a thief. He wasn't even home when this alleged robbery supposedly took place. He wasn't even home. He was at work. But you assume because he's a young black male, then he's a possible suspect. It's like they wasn't hearing me. I'm steady trying to explain to them I've been in my house all day. I don't know nothing about no computer. My son hasn't been home all night, which he was at his brother's house all night. Plus, he had to go to work the next day. And it was like they wasn't believing anything that was coming out of my mouth. It was like they wasn't believing anything that I had to say. It was very frustrating. And then towards the end of the conversation, he sits there and say, "Well, if the property is in your house, you can be filed on charges." I'm looking at him like, are you serious? Then he gonna have the audacity to say, "If you confident." What do you mean? It ain't nothing about being confident. I've been sitting in my house all day. And I'm looking at him like, what part of that don't you understand? I've been sitting in my house all day. How can I rob someone's house and be sitting in my house at the same time? So it was like they wasn't believing anything that was coming out of my mouth. Just by the fact that towards the end of the conversation, he made them two statements. That let me know right there that he wasn't believing anything that was coming out of my mouth. And that was very frustrating. Because I'm black, you automatically assume that I could have possibly robbed these people's house. Because my son is black, a young black male, you automatically assume that he came up in your house, these people's house, and took their stuff. Stereotypes. Because I happen to be black. They ran my license plate and all that. Found out that I had a clean record. Never got caught stealing anything out of a store or anything like that. Never had any misdemeanors. Got a clean record. Maybe like a speeding ticket a few years ago. That's it. I got a clean record. Now I got bad credit unless that's a crime. I don't know. Unless they consider that a crime. But other than that, I don't steal. I don't have any misdemeanors on my record. I have a clean record. So there was no reason for them to, after they ran my credit, my driver's license and all that, and seeing that everything checked out and everything was good. But it took them forever to do that. I think they was doing a full FBI search on me in that car. because I got stopped shortly before that for my headlight. Didn't take the police officer that long to run no scan. This police officer, it took him forever. So maybe they was calling the FBI or on the computer. I don't know what they have access to on those computers. Maybe they was doing a full FBI check. Maybe they was seeing if I was wanted nationwide or something. Maybe they thought I had a nationwide APV out on me or something. I don't know. Because it's like this check took a little bit longer than the first one. I'm like, what the heck is taking them so long? So I mean, they was doing a full scale check on me. Oh, she can't have a clean record. Something, she's got to have something going on. Seriously? Not all black people are criminals. Okay? I'm a law-abiding citizen. My son he's never been in trouble with the law. You guys didn't have any business accusing neither one of us. So I'm still very upset about that situation. You automatically assume that we had something to do with that robbery because we were black and we happened to live next door. We lived next door to those people and we happened to be black. Seriously? So it's just crazy. Stereotypes are ignorant. It's just like sometimes I walk into a store and they running up to me. I know I've worked in retail and I know how it works. Sometimes you gotta ask people, can I help you, whatever. But I'm looking at the white customers and they're not running up to the white customers like that. But they running up to me real quick, like, well, can I, and throughout the time I'm walking, like I go out to Macy's sometimes, and sometimes I'm walking through Macy's and they're, I feel like sometimes I'm being profiled in there. Because sometimes I go in there to look. I love that store. And sometimes I just go in there to look around, Might not necessarily be trying to spend any money, but sometimes I'm looking around. But I feel like I'm being, but see, I notice it not on the white customers like that. I mean, there's many times I've went into stores and I felt that way. Not all the time, not every time I shop, but a lot of times there has been a lot of occasions that I have went into stores and felt like I was being profiled, felt like I was being followed, or felt like somebody was, watching me or whatever like that. Because what you automatically assume is because someone's black, they're going to steal. Stereotypes are ignorant. As I stated in some of my other videos, I used to work in retail. I worked at a Meijer store, up here in the Midwest, Michigan, Ohio, Illinois, Kentucky. They have Meijer stores, Fred Meijer stores. It's just like Walmart stores. As a matter of fact, it's exactly like Walmart's. It's a superstore just like Walmart's, except it's Meijer store. They sell everything that you need is in that store. If you want to buy some groceries, there's the groceries. Then you can buy clothes up out of there. You can buy shoes up out of there. You can buy some jewelry. You can buy a lawnmower. You can buy personal items, household items, coffee makers. Everything you need is in this store. It's just like Walmart. It's a store just like Walmart. It's a superstore. You can go in there and buy everything you need. Except it's a Meijer store, and it's mainly, they're not nationwide like Walmart's is all over the world. They got Walmarts all over the world. Well, these stores are mainly based in the Midwest. So some of you might have not never heard of it because they're mainly in the Midwest. But they're Meijer stores. They got quite a few. They got them all over Michigan. They got them in Kentucky. They got them in Ohio. They got them in, I think they got some in Indiana, and they got some in Illinois. So they're mainly based in the Midwest. And I worked at one of these stores, Meijer stores, and learned a lot working at the store. Because every time, they got plainclothes security guards walking around the store. And when they would catch someone stealing, I've seen them dragging a lot of white people into that security office. I've seen them tackling some white people for stealing. I actually worked at this store twice. They had an old store, and I worked in that store, and I worked in the cafeteria. Quit. A few years later, came back as a cashier, and they closed the old store down and opened up a new store right beside it. So I worked for this Meijer store twice, and I used to see them tackling white people. Some of them perpetrators were black, but some of them were white. Taking white people up to the security office because they were caught stealing. So there was some black people that were stealing, but there were some white people that were stealing as well. So the thing is, a white person could probably get away with stealing out of the store quicker than a black person, because a lot of those people are trained to watch the black people. They're not trained to watch the white people. They're trained to profile and watch the black people. They automatically assume that just because you're black, you're going to steal. Well, I've seen them dragging a lot of people, white people, in that security office. So, stereotypes are ignorant. It's ignorant to assume, like I said in my other videos, nobody's all of anything. No, it's ignorant to assume that all race of people is one specific thing. All black people are thieves. All black people are criminals. Well, that's ignorant. You're a very ignorant person if you believe that. If you believe that all black people steal, you are ignorant. You are a very ignorant person. It is not logical, and it's very ignorant to assume that all black people are thieves. All black people are criminals. That's ignorant. And if you think that, if anybody thinks that, then you're ignorant. And you don't have any common sense. Because common sense should tell you, if you're a logical person, common sense should tell you not all of anybody is anything. There's a certain percentage of people, there's a certain percentage of black people that, yes, they do steal. There's a certain percentage of black people that do kill or whatever. But then there's a certain percentage of people in other races that do the same thing. There's a certain percentage. Like I said, when I worked at this Meijer store, I seen them taking white people up in that security office too. There was some black people that was stealing, but I seen they tackled some white people too. So I seen white people, not just black people stealing, but I've seen some white people stealing as well. So it's ignorant to assume that a whole race of people is a certain way. It's ignorant to say all black people steal. If you're a security guard and you're working in a store, you're a plainclothes security guard and you're working in a retail store, you need to be looking for every possible suspect. You should not be profiling people because of their race. You should not be looking at people because you're just looking at the black people. Because while you're looking at the black people, then you might have some white people over here that's taking stuff right up under your nose and you're missing them. If you're a plainclothes security guy and you're working for the company, you're doing the company a disservice by just watching one segment of the population. You're not doing your job. You're not even doing your job. You're supposed to be watching everybody. You ain't supposed to be watching just black people. You're supposed to be watching everybody. If I had a store like that and I hired plainclothes security guards to work in those stores, I expect you to watch everybody. It's your job to watch everybody. How dare you profile? Because while you watching these race of people thinking that they gonna steal something, then this other race over here robbing, it's gonna be robbing me blind. So if you just watching one race of people, you're not doing your job. And I don't want you on my team. I don't want you working for my company. Because first of all, you're being racist and you're being stereotypical. And second of all, you're not doing your job. Because your job is to watch everybody, not just certain people because of their race. Nah. So it's very ignorant to, very, very ignorant to stereotype people and automatically assume that just because certain people are a certain race, that they're going to steal or whatever, or they're going to commit crimes. And it's very ignorant. Stereotypes are ignorant. And if you believe that all black people are this and all black people are that, or even if you're a black person and you think all white people are a certain way or whatever, you're ignorant. Stereotypes are ignorant. Now, just like, I look at some of these guys on YouTube, and they say that all black women are ratchet, all black women are this, all black women are that. That's interesting. And then, you know what I ask them, sometimes I comment on it and I say, that's interesting. How did you compile the stats on that? Sometimes I comment, I ask them, I said, how did you, like, sometimes, like, I've read blogs, I read blogs where guys just threw a number out there. There's 75% of black women that are like that, like this or like that, ratchet or whatever. I asked this one guy, I said, that's interesting. Could you show me the link of how you got that number? How did you get that percentage? Show me the link. I'd like to look it up. I never heard from him again. My question is, how in the heck are you going to just throw a stat out there? It's very ignorant. And you don't have any common sense. You don't have any logic. How are you going to just throw a statistic out there off the top of your head because you just assume that most of these people, the segment of the population that you're talking about, is this specific way based on your emotions? Because that's what you're basing it on, is you're basing it on your emotions and how you feel about that segment of the population. You're not basing it on any facts. So when he said that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I said, which stat? I said, where'd you find that stat? Show me the link. He said, well, 75%. I can't remember what he said. I know he said 75% of black women were something. And I said, where'd you find that stat? Show me the link. I'd like to know how you compiled that statistic. Now, I took a statistics class in college when I used to go to school. And the first thing I learned was statistics is not an exact science. So you can be off and still be right. And how you compile statistics is you have to do a study. You have to do a study. Now, how you do that study is you either take a poll or because you got to get your numbers so you can work your problem. You got to get your numbers. You either take a poll or you take a survey or I don't know, check data, check some type of a data, a numeric data or whatever, like that, to get your numbers so you can work your problem. Then you work your problem, take those numbers and you work your problem, and you come up with that statistic. That's what I learned. And so, but you got to compile your data first. So if you say 75% of black women or whatever, how did you come up with that number? Did you take a survey? Did you take a poll? Or how did you come up with that number? How did you come up with 75%? So see, that's ignorant. You can't just throw a statistic out there off the top of your head based on your emotions. That doesn't even make any sense. And if you're a logical person, you shouldn't even let nothing like that come out your mouth. You're basing it on your emotions. That's what you're basing it on. You're not basing it on any facts. I'm going to do a part 2 to this, so stay tuned. This is Sweet June 2010.